The Power Hour is on the air, live streaming on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, and Twitch. I'm your host, Michael Bishop, and thank you for joining us on this Monday evening. I want to welcome everybody in. Getting started early. It is our inaugural Q&A day. I'm very excited about that. So any football questions, any questions you want to ask me, go ahead and get it off your chest. That's what I'm here for today. Definitely excited to get everybody in and have their questions pour out. A lot of questions, more than likely, about this season upcoming. So go ahead, get it off your chest. I mean, we got a long way till preseason gets started. Got a long way even further till we go ahead and get everything kicked off for our inaugural training camp 2022 edition. So really excited, really happy to get this going. Very happy to have everybody in tonight. Welcome to the Power Hour. I am your host, Michael Bishop. Everybody pouring into the comments right now. Lou Man, of course, he jumped in first. Good seeing you tonight, buddy. Know you've got a couple of questions, so we'll definitely get to that a little later tonight, but very excited about that too. Mama's in the chat. Good to see you, Mom. And it is good to see everybody starting to pour in. So before we get started, once again, as always, we have a special guest tonight. Joining us tonight would be our good friend and the host of his own show. It would be the Bryce Titan, the Heck Up Pratt show. Good to have him into the show and get his opinion on these things. Please welcome to the show, Bryce Pratt. Bryce.
What's up, buddy? How's everything?
Bryce, it's good seeing you, man. It's been a while. I know we've both been busy with our own shows. You've been pretty busy with your own.
I've been really busy. I've been really busy with my own shows and things like that. So too.
It's definitely good to have you on.
It's good to talk again. I'm ready to break down the top news. I'm ready to jump right into it.
Bryce has got the energy tonight, so he's ready to jump into things. But before we do that, man, I mean, congratulations on the show. I've had a chance to watch some of the episodes, a couple of them live, and I'm really impressed with the way you're handling yourself. You know, you've had some great guests. You've had some great insight on a lot of things. Tell us before we get started, man, any big things coming up for the Bryce Tighten the Heck Up show?
Yes, I have one this Thursday. And I have my buddy, cousin Brian joining me as a special guest. And then I got the ladies of Titans Twitter joining me as well next Wednesday.
Pretty girls, too. I like them girls. They're nice.
You see my background back here?
I do, man. You've got it all set up. Everything's looking professional, as always. It's good seeing you again. And I have noticed Haley Thornhill's definitely been helping out with the show. She's been a really good co-host, so to say.
Yes, she has. I agree.
Um,
And I've been trying to teach him, too, in the background. So,
I have a lot of things in store coming for the channel, so don't worry about that.
I have no doubt, buddy. You've definitely done a fantastic job, and we're definitely rooting for you and continue the success that you're finding.
Hold on. Sorry, pal. I didn't mean to cut you off, man. Go ahead.
Well, I was just saying, buddy, I'm just very happy for the success that you found with your show. You've been doing a really great job. You know, all around Titans, Twitter, and the Titanverse, we've all been rooting for you. You've been doing a fantastic job at just your insight and having guests on. So we know also that apparently Titan Upload is starting to do a series of smaller shows to actually some of us smaller and growing shows into the format and get us a little more exposure. And apparently from what he said on the show yesterday, that you're on deck. So we're pretty excited to get to see that.
Yes.
Most
Most definitely, man. I want to show it to me real quick.
Tell me when hit him up with this. And whoever done it, they done a great job. Tell him you're putting one out for them. What's his name?
James Ryan.
The one that done this for you.
Yeah.
Spy out to him. That's excellent.
I gave him a shout out already for it.
Oh, did you? Well, you need to kind of like plug him on Power Hour. You know what plug means? That you're introducing somebody's product.
Nah, I don't want to do that.
You might get in trouble. See, I don't know how that works. We need to look at that part of it. All right, I'm out. I love you. I'll see y'all later.
Well, we definitely don't want to get you in trouble, Bryce. You know, we like you too much to have that kind of feedback on you, so we'll protect you on here.
I have a lot of things in store. What do you have coming up for your show as well? I'm ready to hear it right now.
That's why I love having you on the show, Bryce. You cut straight to the chase, and you want to jump in, especially in the off season, to get this done. So you know what, Bryce, I'm gonna let you take the reins on this one. We're gonna jump into the top news. Let's do it, buddy. Well, let's get the right screen up first, because apparently we're having some issues. So give me just a second.
I never had any issues with mine, but
it happens, buddy. It happens. So we're ready to go, and the NFL top news is up. So, Bryce, let's get to our first story starting out. And appears Peyton Manning would be in line for the job right now to be an advisor for the Denver Broncos going forward. It seems that they want to get his expertise on a lot of situations moving forward with the team, especially with a new owner in place trying to put things in order. It appears maybe John Elway might be leaving and potentially opening the door for Peyton Manning to potentially step in to be an advisor, and also maybe down the road have maybe a minority owner stake in this. So, Bryce, what's your take on this?
I haven't really heard much about it, but I think he could really step in and do something with that franchise that they have. I mean, he's won a Super Bowl with them, and the fact that he was a good he could be a good head coach as well. I mean, what's your take on the head coaching job for him?
Well, I don't think it'll be anything from a coaching standpoint. It's more than likely he'll be hired in just as an advisor situation. He'll basically be getting info on him, see if he could help, like evaluate players. Probably something that he hadn't had a lot of opportunity in that position to do. But I do think along those lines, you look at someone that has been around players that could probably help bring in the right guys to the franchise, especially with an offense that's been retooled with Russell Wilson and a slew of young wide receivers. You think that he could be a valuable asset at trying to build around this team and continue to make them better. So what would your take be with that?
I think it's usually I think it's usually I'm gonna use my body language, okay?
Yeah, I think it'd be good for how y'all are talking about, because he can read body language.
He can read body language, man. He has a lot of experience at doing that, and the fact that he was one of the best regular season quarterbacks, but I don't think he was in NFL history though. But
Who was?
Peyton Manning.
I thought we was talking about Tom Brady. I'm sorry.
He was one of the best regular season quarterbacks, but I don't think he was the greatest of all time. But he's up there.
And that's a fair assessment. Most people say that Peyton Manning would be in the lines of the best regular season quarterback, like you said. So that's a great assessment, by the way. And, most people would fall along the lines, Tom Brady being the best. Then if you have an old school kind of crowd, they'd probably go along the lines, maybe Joe Montana, maybe a Johnny Unitas, but great insight there. But
Oh, don't forget about Steve Young.
we'll definitely got to add Steve Young to the mix, just one of the better mobile quarterbacks, especially in a league where the mobile quarterback wasn't utilized as much, but had great success with the 49ers.
Um, what did you? I want to ask you a question. I got a good question for you as well.
Fire
What do
away,
you
sir.
think? What do you think about the AJ Brown thing right now? People are blowing up about it on Twitter.
Well, we'll get to that in our next segment, buddy. Like I want to make sure we got something to talk about moving forward on that one. But believe me, I've got a lot to talk about that. But we'll get to that as soon as we get through the top news.
I can't wait to I'll meet Bryce first.
Um,
We're trying to get it together and we can come to a game.
um,
So, Bryce in person, you will trip out because he is hilarious. And he got
Well,
a heart and he's a good guy. And I just can't say anything bad about the boy, except for he talks too much on the phone.
well, we definitely want to get Bryce up to a game eventually. He has quite a fan base here out in Titan Twitter universe, and
And too.
we continually just support him and just everything that he's doing. Bryce should keep doing a fantastic job, and we're going to get you out to one of these games eventually.
I know he's loved the Titans since you were what, right?
maybe around
Two.
two.
Was the one that came out in 1999?
Yeah,
You were born 2002.
yeah.
So, yeah.
And you're definitely getting some shout outs in the comment section. My mom says hello to you, Bryce. Good having you on the
Hello.
show. Blue Man gives you a shout out.
My name's Elizabeth too.
And it also appears Lou Man brought up a good point with Peyton Manning says he will bring in the talent needed to improve the offense. So, yeah, that's a very good point, Lou Man. I mean, Peyton Manning definitely can evaluate players. I mean, especially he's been around just a slew of talented guys his entire career. So, I mean, it takes that kind of brilliance to find these guys, especially that can make a difference. And Peyton Manning being around a slew of talented players throughout his career, I think he'll do a good job if they extend the job to him. So we'll see what happens with that going forward.
Hold on. Here's my take right here on Peyton Manning. He's definitely had some 50 touchdown seasons, but that was wild. He threw 55 touchdowns in one season.
Really?
Yes. Can you imagine that?
What season was that?
I think it was like, it was when he was with the Indianapolis Colts.
Wow.
Power Hour. I wanna see if you got anything to say about that 50 touchdown season that Peyton Manning had thrown.
Well, I know he's done it twice. I know once with the Colts and then once again with the Denver Broncos. So unfortunately, he won't be playing. It'll just be more of a position of just advising. So he'll evaluate talent. He'll evaluate any of the college players coming in or potentially free agents. So along those lines, that's more likely what he would do. But if Denver Bronco fans could have it their way, and if he would unretire, I'm sure they'd take him.
Yeah, but I think Denver Bronco fans are gonna be happy for him that he's able to be able to do something with them and things like that. So
Just a great evaluator. So I definitely think he'll do a good job at that point. But Bryce, we'll go ahead and move on to our next topic. And wide receiver contracts have been a big issue going forward this season. there's plenty of guys that are out there that are trying to get paid, especially in a year where the wide receiver is continuing to grow at an alarming rate. And it would
It,
appear that DK Metcalf will more than likely be the next one in line if they're willing to work out an extension. Seattle saying last
yes,
week at this point that Pete Carroll and Metcalf would be more than likely potentially moving to an extension in the near future, potentially maybe even towards training camp. So, Bryce,
it,
how vital is it that they get this deal done this year to lock up Metcalf's services, especially in a year where the wide
um,
receiver moves at a very continuous pace?
I heard, I heard it could be, I, I heard it could be around, training camp somewhere around there, but, it's gonna be probably in the mid-season somewhere around there, but, I think it will be because, it's, it's been so sweet, sleepless with the contract situations, and I I heard I heard Debo Samuel wanted to be traded from the 49ers. It,
That's definitely true. Samuel being another one of the main receivers that could potentially get a deal worked out maybe before training camp. But the interesting thing about DK Metcalf that I continue to monitor is, he does have trade value right now. Any team looking to get a wide receiver could potentially trade a nice hefty fee to get a hold of him. The Jets trying to be possibly one of the teams that made that move, maybe quietly while they were trying to acquire Debo Samuel. But at this
yeah,
point right now, do you think that DK Metcalf would probably be in line to make the kind of money that potentially AJ Brown made, or maybe even Tyreek Hill's contract?
but I think it's gonna be Tyreek Hill money. I will drop that right now.
Who?
Yeah.
Who'd you say, Bryce?
Um, I think it will be like some Tyreek Hill money or Devontae Adams money.
That's an interesting point. I do think along the lines with Metcalf's height and his speed advantage, that would be a potential way to go, especially knowing he's definitely one of the most physical wide receivers in the league, if not one of the top three. But you did say that you potentially see this being done maybe around training camp. Along
Yeah,
those lines, do you think that he would want to stay in Seattle, especially to go through a rebuild, or will he try and push for a trade? What do you think the
I
best option for Metcalf would be?
I think it would be. I think he would want to push for a trade. I the highest I would go is a third round pick
So you don't think
for
so? That's interesting that you say that. Do you think that maybe he could potentially pull down maybe a first round pick, maybe multiple picks?
maybe.
Because I definitely believe he would be worth a first round pick. I do think along those lines, you see what the Eagles gave up to get AJ Brown. It's a first round pick and a third round pick. So
Uh,
Metcalf potentially, would you say that it would be maybe a first round pick and maybe a second round pick, just because the market would definitely pick up? So would you go that way?
AJ was a second round pick, but I think the fact that he's worth a first round pick, it's because he did not want to take the money that the Titans tried to offer him. So, but it, but it kind of shocked me. But I do have an AJ Brown shirt, but I don't wear it no more. I'm probably gonna keep it.
Wear it backwards.
Yeah.
Well, along those lines, It's more likely. I feel that when you look at Metcalf's situation, it would definitely tear the Seattle fan base apart. They've already given up Russell Wilson, and to give up Metcalf would definitely be a punch in the stomach for them after they've already lost their franchise quarterback and potentially
I
the best
feel
quarterback
so
they've ever had.
bad for them. I feel so bad because they're gonna probably end up losing their coach as well next year. The Seattle Seahawks head coach. What is his name? Parallel, do you know?
That's Pete Carroll.
Um, I think he will have to go next year because I don't think he's able to coach any longer than um I'm gonna finish my talk right here.
All
Um
right. Go ahead, buddy.
I don't I don't think he's gonna coach any longer than what's that one coach's name that coach for the Bengals 15 years.
Oh, you're talking about Marv Lewis.
Yeah. Um I just don't think he's gonna coach longer than him.
And that's a good point. I do think eventually Pete Carroll will move on. I think along the lines DK Metcalf is more than likely potentially going to move on if he doesn't get the money he's trying to get. I do agree with you. I think he's going to try and get potentially Tyreek Hill or maybe even Devontae Adams money because he knows long term he's still young and he's still serviceable. So I think with that in play, you really have to feel that a trade could come if the right offer comes. But if they do get a deal done before training camp, I think that would be the best way to try and ease the fan base's minds, especially after taking such a huge blow going forward.
I seen Cooper Cup get that money. I was like, holy damn, he got a lot of money.
And he definitely did, my friend. And Lou Man brings up a good question: who replaced Wilson with the Seahawks? And
Uh,
Lou
I
Man,
think
as
it
of
was
right
I
now,
think it was Lock that replaced him.
you're right. That's Drew Lock was definitely a quarterback that got in that trade, and then you have Geno Smith and Jacob Eason from the Indianapolis Colts is in the mix. So Lou, it's going to be an interesting battle for the quarterback position. So along those lines, I think Pete
Yeah,
Carroll. Pete Carroll does like a guy with a strong arm, so I would definitely be
but
interested to see how he looks at Eason and Locke going forward. Go
but
ahead, Bryce.
who do you think's gonna be the starter for the Seattle Seahawks this year at quarterback? Um, I think it would be Drew Lock. Who do you think?
I think Locke could be the lock here, no pun intended. But with the situation where Russell Wilson became the starter, he had no NFL experience at the time. So I'd keep a
Yeah,
close eye on Jacob Eason. I do think he likes guys that are unpolished, but they definitely have someone that could be a diamond in the rough in a right situation. Maybe it'll work out.
I hope
um,
all our boys are diamonds in the rough and they come out easy and slow and don't get burned out. I think we'll just be fine. We'll have
um,
another chance to sit the boat.
um, I think if the guy, I think he will be the guy that's gonna be the quarterback for this year. But I could possibly see him getting the Seattle Seahawks in the playoffs.
Really?
What's your take on that?
I would expect that.
I was talking to you. I,
I know. I would expect that.
Well, really, my take is the Seahawks are in a rebuild. I think Pete Carroll's going to go eventually with experience, but if Jacob Eason has a strong camp, don't be surprised if he starts. So along that way, It's really just along the lines where Pete Carroll feels more comfortable with wherever he wants to start.
Possibly be a situation where he's going to end up. Sorry, pal. I didn't mean to cut you off, man.
No, you're fine. You're fine, Bryce. You're
Well,
fine.
good work.
But
Doing real good.
take
I
your time.
think it's a situation where he could possibly go to another team and be a assistant coach. What is your take? What is your take on that?
How old is he?
You'll have to repeat the question, Bryce. I was getting interference.
I said, what is your take on him going to be a consistent coach for another team in the NFL? Right here,
Coach Carroll?
yeah.
He's not going to do that. I don't see him. If anything, he'll retire. He
Um,
doesn't have anything else to prove at this point. He's won a national championship at the collegiate level. He's won a Super Bowl. If anything, more than likely he'll retire. And if he does anything football wise, I would say more than likely you would probably see him as an advisor role, potentially something that Peyton Manning was going to do.
he's actually been to the Super Bowl twice. But he lost one because Russell Wilson threw that down intersection.
Well, these things happen, buddy, but believe me, along those lines, you live, you learn. Could have been two, but it was one. But moving on to our next story, Cooper Cup
Okay.
over the last few days ended up getting an extension worth 3 years, $80 million, which would guarantee him about a 5-year, $110 million extension after it's all said and done. And Bryce, it's easy to say Cooper Cup was going to get paid, but how crazy is it that the Rams continue to find this money and pay their players?
I thought he would get more money than just 80 million, just for the fact that he was a Super Bowl MVP. Um, um, he had the most receiving yards in NFL history this year, and the fact that I'm gonna use some of my body language.
Go ahead.
The fact that he got that Super Bowl MVP, it's because the Bengals suck. The Bengals lost their offensive lineman in Spain. Spain is garbage.
I mean, I'd give that assessment. That's a fair assessment in some ways, but I'd also say Cooper Cup is playing on the level of what Jerry Rice and even Calvin Johnson were playing at and putting up just astronomical numbers. So
Don't forget about Julio Jones.
oh well, unfortunately Julio's never touched that amount of receiving yards in a season. So what Cooper Cup's done is just on the level of just Hall of Fame potential wide receivers. As good as Julio was, Julio's never put up the kind of numbers that Megatron did or even Jerry Rice.
But he put up 1,800 yards in 2015.
That he did.
Yeah.
But Bryce, let me ask you this. You know, especially with wide receivers that are trying to get an extension, the Rams may continue to find ways to put money in. And I continue to tell people that the salary cap's a very real thing. It's a situation where you have to restructure deals, you have to move money forward and kind of kick the can down the ways. But that being said, do you think the Cooper Cup deal will definitely open the door for a lot of other wide receivers that are basically looking at a contract extension, like we're talking about DK Metcalf, Debo Samuel, or even Terry McLaurin? from Washington?
Scary Terry. Scary Terry is what I call him. Um, I think it's definitely a possibility, but I can see that. I can see it happening for sure. For sure, my friend. What is you?
That's a solid take. We'll just say that along the lines, the receiver market continues to reset, and the Cooper Cup deal will definitely be a standard going forward. So everybody's going to continue to watch that as the receivers wait to see if they can lock down. And
Hold on,
speaking,
buddy. We got Wasi. We got Titans Wasi in the building.
and we definitely have a Rossi sighting. Good seeing you, Rossi. Great having you
What's
on the
up?
show.
What's up, buddy?
It's definitely an enjoyment to see Rossi come back out and do these last couple of shows, the last couple of weeks. We know, especially with him taking care of some personal business. So,
I
we're definitely happy to have him back.
want to get out. I want to keep it in. Rossi, what's your take on this wide receiver thing? It's been pretty wild for me. I seen where DK Metcalf could possibly get traded to the Rams.
I don't think he'll get traded to the Rams because at this point, Dave had too much success, and I'm not willing to give him any more. You're better than me. You're better than me in that sense, Bryce. If you're willing to give him DK Metcalf. But another wide receiver, Terry McLaurin, we were talking about. Apparently, he's not going to be coming in mandatory mini camps as Washington gets started. Apparently, he's trying to hold out for a new deal. Once again, another unhappy camper in a wide receiver core. So, Bryce, along those lines, what do you think McLaurin is worth in that sense? What kind of money would you pay him long term to stay with the Commanders?
I would give him at least $100 million, if that.
Really? You giving that much?
Yeah, for
Remember, 550 million we did got.
for 5 years.
550 million in 5 years that that one did got. She's like 100 million? Come on, 100 millions.
So you would definitely give him an H.A. Brown type of contract where he'll definitely be right at that 100 million mark and give him a long-term deal. So do you think that's the best offer for him?
$100 million is a lot of money to get a football player.
It definitely is. At the fact that
My goodness, I can see the whole world.
at the fact that AJ Brown got that 25 million guaranteed. I mean, what was it, Powell? Was it 57 million guaranteed? Question mark.
I do believe it was around. I know it was a $100 million contract, and I know he got right around. I think it was the 27, 28 million a year. I can't double check on my numbers. So I can't get my
Check it on your phone.
Well, I can't get my source up right now, buddy. So unfortunately, that's just not going to happen. But along those lines, I know it was a deal that was worth him moving forward to Philadelphia. But I do think that's an interesting take. I think McLaurin is definitely a key piece in the Washington offense, and if they lose him, they lose a very, very key piece to their offense going forward that's very irreplaceable. So do you think that they could get this situation sorted out before training camp starts?
Hey, bud, I think it could be somewhere around maybe mid-July, right around when training camp starts. Okay, here's the thing right here. I'm fixing to drop. I'm fixing to drop it right here.
Drop it
Um,
like it's hot. Go ahead, buddy.
if if they decide they want to trade him to, I could possibly see him coming to the Titans. What do you think about that?
I don't think we have that kind of money in the budget right now, buddy. As much as I'd love to see that happen, he's a very, very gifted wide receiver. Along the lines, Tennessee has other needs that they would have to address with their money, and offensive line would be one that I would go after, and potentially maybe bringing in a more veteran wide receiver that's a little more inexpensive, so to say. But I'm not against bringing talent here. It's just bringing talent at the right price and not having to pay for it later.
Um, yeah, it's pretty wild, and it's also pretty unexpected that all these players are getting traded to different teams. It's pretty unexpected. What do you think about that?
I think it just depends on whatever the situation is. I think if you have the cap space to do it, I think if you're trying to fill a need in,
I
whether it
would,
be you're trading a player for a player or a player for a draft pick, you have to make sure, that's something that you're going to have to like live with the consequences or the rewards of. Kind of like Tennessee with Julio Jones. We took the chance at bringing in an experienced wide receiver that we knew had a hamstring issue going forward, and it was just one of those deals that didn't work. And that happens a lot in the league.
I was a big fan of Julio Jones, but his hamstrings all completely done. I mean,
And they may be, but we'll see what he does going forward, whatever team he goes with. Along
I
those
think
lines, I've seen him experience bigger, more physical wide receivers tend to have a lot of more physical issues going forward. So we'll
I think
see how he does.
hold on, buddy. I think it could possibly be the 49ers. I seen where he could go play for the 49ers or the Chargers and somewhere like the Indianapolis Colts.
You don't think Green Bay could be an option?
I think they could, but I think they need him just for the fact that they lost their elite wide receiver. It's because they Devontae Adams, no argument right here. He was one of the best wide receivers in the franchise history.
But going back to the Julio thing before we get to the next story, out of all those teams you listed, what team do you think is the best fit for Julio Jones?
I think it would be either the Green Bay Packers or the 49ers maybe. He could
I
go play there.
I could see that. Those are two good options. Green Bay definitely needs to try and bring in another wide receiver with veteran presence. And the 49ers makes sense because Kyle Shanahan and Julio Jones both work together. And maybe that could be the thing that helps move Trey Lance forward if he becomes the starting quarterback. So interesting situation. And finally, on our last story tonight, and this one was definitely an eye catcher. Tyreek Hill's already making waves in the news standings, basically saying that Tua Tagovailoa is a better quarterback than Patrick Mahomes. So, Bryce, I'll let you go ahead and start. What is your take on that situation?
No, no, he is definitely not. No. Patrick Mahomes has a Super Bowl. And the funny thing The funny thing about this, right? I was laughing when I saw this yesterday. I was laughing when I saw this notification pop up on my phone, right? Um, I was laughing about it. Tyreek Hill does have a Super Bowl with the Chiefs. I don't think Tua. I don't think he's the better quarterback. I don't. I mean, he throws left-handed. It's weird the way he throws the ball. He just can't throw the ball down the field.
Well, I definitely go to the one issue that always sells me with the quarterback situation. And I look at the passing completion percentage. And Tua Tagovailoa, so far in the NFL, has completed about 64% of his passes in his career. And you look at Patrick Mahomes, and he's completed about 66 of them. So Tyreek Hill definitely being a key factor there in that. And you have to also include Travis Kelsey. Mahomes has had some great weapons in his career. And going forward, he's Mahomes has the stronger arm. I mean, we really don't know much about Tua Tagovailoa except just for the 1 year that he's had. And it's even more interesting to me the fact that Hill's willing to step out for his quarterback this year and basically put him on his shoulders. And
I,
admirable as
I,
it is, I do think it's a
I,
funny situation to go forward in.
um, I call Tua sandwich
So
because
he's
I
go ahead.
call him Tua sandwich because he throws the ball and the ball pops up like a sandwich.
Definitely an interesting take. Um, any condiments on that sandwich? Tomato, lettuce?
Uh, I think it's definitely a sandwich, but
I mean,
well,
potentially I'd put potato chips on that sandwich just for a little crunch, but that's just me.
I would, I would too. I mean, I would put some regular classic potato chips on it. Lay's potato chips.
But
What do you like on your sandwich?
uh,
Uh,
really, it just depends on the sandwich, buddy. I mean, if it's a hot sandwich, I tend to stay away from a lot of things just because it would, usually with vegetables, you have to just pick the right kind of vegetable. I think lettuce or spinach kind of wilts. Onions works pretty good on hot sandwiches, but a lot of other things you could put on it. But Lou Man brings up a good point here too. Tua is just as good as Mahomes, and will be in due time, my opinion only, and that's fair. I think adding a weapon like Tyreek Hill would definitely help improve Tua's situation, and I applaud Miami for going out and actually making that move. Will it work?
who,
I mean, only time will tell. But especially in these situations, Miami's trying to open a Super Bowl window and move forward with this. So along those lines, they've got to be really curious at trying to find the right key pieces going forward.
hold on, buddy. Let me ask you this question. Who is the other wide receiver that they have? Is it Jaden Waddle?
Yep, you're correct.
Um, the guy is so fast. I mean, that guy caught a ball down the field against the Titans, like for 44 yards or something like that.
Waddle's going to have a good career with the Dolphins if he stays healthy. And really, along the lines, you had to bring Tyreek Hill in because in this league, you really have to have two very good wide receivers, especially in a league where it's converting into a passing league. So I'm really interested to see what Miami's going to do. I think right now, I think they're the second best team in the AFC East if they can get the defense to actually help their offense be more serviceable. So my two
Who,
cents there. Bryce, we've got to take a quick break. So let's go ahead and do that real quick. And when we come back, we are going to talk about the situation with A.J. Brown in the social media standings. Was he the best Tennessee Titan wide receiver of all time? Bryce and I'll break that down. We'll take a quick 30-second break when we come back. I'm Michael Bishop of the Power Hour. The Power Hour is on the air, live streaming on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, and Twitch. I'm your host, Michael Bishop, and thank you for joining me and Bryce on this Monday evening to talk football tonight. It's great to have everybody in here. We're definitely going to try and get our Q&A done real soon after our next segment. So we're definitely crushing for time, but I know we're going to get it in there. So no worries. I promise you, anybody that has Q&A questions, we will get to them. But as always, don't forget, if you love the show, help it grow. Follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, and TikTok at the Power Hour 615. We are definitely getting ready to throw a Madden tournament this August 15th. So definitely keep an eye on for that. We've got a lot of things in the pot, and we're just cooking them up, and we'll serve that to you as soon as we get it out. Bryce, definitely want to thank you for being on the show tonight, and make sure that you give a shout out to all the fans to let them know where to find you on all your social media platforms.
Okay, I'm gonna do my YouTube channel first. Right here. You can find me at on YouTube. It's Titan Pratt Up. The Heck Up Show. And then on Twitter, you can find me at Pratt _ and up. And then on Facebook, I have a Facebook page. But I'm not on it as much. I Titan Pratt Up, and then I have a Facebook group as well. Parallel. I would love for you to join the group. It's an awesome group.
Well, I'll definitely have to check that out, buddy, but definitely everybody else. Make sure that you check that out. Make sure you check out Bryce Pratt's YouTube page and his Facebook page. He's got the goods. He's given out some great info and some good insight. One of the best Titan super fans out there. Show him some love. Get him out there. Get him out and more into the community. We love people like this that definitely like jumping into the fold and show their love for the Tennessee Titans. Bryce is one of the best out there and underrated at that. Definitely showing this guy some love. We take care of our own. That's what we do.
I do have a Twitter page. Don't forget about my Twitter.
You got to throw him the Twitter. Go ahead and throw him the Twitter at Bryce.
It's Pratt. It's at Pratt _ up, and then that's it. All you gotta do is usually type in my name, Bryce Pratt, and it'll pop up on your search bar.
Go show the man some love. He's definitely putting out the content. Bryce Pratt taking care of business.
Hey, Paolo, did I tell you this yet?
Go ahead, Bryce.
I'm closing in on 1,000 followers on Twitter.
And congratulations, man. Definitely keep shooting for that moon. You're definitely getting a lot of love out there in the Titans Twitterverse, and you're definitely getting the work in, putting the work in. So you keep doing what you're doing, buddy. All right, guys, let's go ahead and jump into this next segment. It is the biggest trending thing in the Titan Twitterverse. As we all know, A.J. Brown has been a hard subject, to say the least, for some of us to discuss, especially when A.J. Brown keeps finding ways to pop up in the news and make discussions about this. And really, along the lines, I didn't even want to talk about the thing, but it's a point of interest, and I think it's something that needs to be brought up. So, Bryce, let's go ahead and start at the beginning. It always starts with a tweet. And the first tweet that came out was A.J. Brown making a comment on something that was unfootball related at this time. And of course, basically the fire that spread the flame. And it started here at this pod. For the love of God, stay off social media. You're already a villain. No need to make it a super villain. And unfortunately, A.J. Brown definitely didn't like that response and responding back. For the love of God, I was the best wide receiver to play for your franchise. Shut up and move on. You're mad at the wrong person. Now, I can understand AJ wanting to defend himself. That's fine. Some people do on Facebook. Some people do on Twitter. It's inevitable. But along these lines, I do think the one line that just rubbed Titans fans the wrong way was that he was the best receiver to play for the franchise. Didn't say during his tenure. Didn't say for the Titans, even for the franchise. And that's a broad horizon there. And along those lines, I had to basically just do my homework because, Bryce, most people like for sure, I'm a student of the game and I do my homework just like you do your homework. So I could be here all day discussing Titans wide receivers and Oilers wide receivers if we wanted to get in franchise specs. But not to complicate things, I'll jump into the Titans wide receivers. But go ahead, buddy.
Did you see that tweet that I put out today about the Derek Mason and AJ Brown stats?
I did not, but I will definitely throw up Derek Mason's stats since you went ahead and brought that up. And Derek Mason, if you put him in the Titans conversation, was far advanced, especially in his time with the Tennessee Titans. Was drafted with the franchise in 1997, played his last season in 2004, and in that span averaged 6,114 yards and 37 touchdowns. So, Bryce, really along the lines, you're looking at, if you accept as a Tennessee Titans fan, the best Tennessee Titan to play the receiver position.
Yeah, I think he is definitely one of them for sure. I could. Whoops. I just kicked my shoe off.
Oh, you're fine, buddy. You're at home anyway, so don't worry about that. But here's the thing. You look at other Titans wide receivers, A.J. Brown doesn't even come into the mix. And right behind Derek Mason was Frank Wycheck, 4,958 yards, 27 touchdowns. So, yeah, A.J. Brown's not even coming after that. Who's next? Good old Nate Washington, 4,591 yards, 28 touchdowns. Fantastic find for the Titans. Up next was Delaney Walker, 4,423 yards, 28 touchdowns. Yeah, I know some of us were upset about that, but, it's water under the bridge at this point. Delaney was one of the best tight ends.
I liked Delaney Walker, but I did listen to the episode that Mr. Titan had him on his YouTube channel.
Definitely shout out to Mr. Titan. That was a great show if you had a chance to watch the Delaney Walker interview. But, another great Tennessee wide receiver that was basically tight end. So even he was ahead. But who was after that? Drew Bennett. And if you remember Drew Bennett out of UCLA, put 4,330 yards and 25 touchdowns for the franchise, was an invaluable piece, especially for Steve McNair in the later days. So in the long list of Tennessee Titans, A.J. Brown, especially including Oilers, fell 16th. And during his tenure, 2,995 yards, 24 touchdowns. And yes, I understand this was in a 3-season span. I know this was in between games that he was hurt. And it could potentially it could potentially move up. I'm sorry, I'm tongue-tied. But, along those lines, at the work that he's put in, I don't find it as much, a situation where you have a guy that's just trying to defend himself on social media. where it's just the better situation, just walk away. A.J. Brown doesn't have to prove anything to anybody. He did well at Tennessee. There's some here that still care about him. There's some that are moving on, and that's fine. And like previous shows that I've said, it's a business. A.J. Brown made a business decision. It was a trade that he basically wanted to go through. Make no mistake, A.J. Brown knew he wasn't going to get paid in Tennessee. Philadelphia was more than happy to make that happen. I'm not mad at players that want to get paid. So A.J. Brown got paid.
I'm gonna get something to drink real quick.
Go ahead, buddy. But anyway, Bryce definitely has to get him a drink, so no worries. A.J. Brown to me, once again, it's a situation. Didn't have to make it a situation, but like I said, these social media situations, just walk away. That's the best thing he can do for himself. I know it's a situation where he's still trying to fill himself out, and a lot of athletes don't like being the villain. Any athlete will tell you that. But along those lines, A.J. Brown is in a situation where it's kind of a fight or flight mode. And of course, he's trying to defend himself to a fan, which he didn't have to. But to say he was the best in franchise history is a slap in the face to this guy. And I will always say Ernest Givens is, without a doubt, in my mind, the best wide receiver in the Oilers Titans franchise history. And I know that's debatable some. That's fine. I mean, everybody's going to have their picks of who they feel is the best. Ernest, to me, was one of the guys that was in the Warren Moon days and was very, very talented and is not in the Hall of Fame and should be. But unfortunately, like these situations, they take into account Pro Bowls, they take into account AFC championships, Super Bowls, which unfortunately Ernest has not a lot of. So that definitely hurts his cause.
It's definitely a situation where A.J. Brown did not have to defend himself. Hold on, buddy. I'm gonna get something.
Go ahead, bud. And Bryce makes a good point. I mean, in social settings, you got to step away. And Lou Man, AJ likes social media. That's understandable. A lot of athletes are active on social media. But at the same time, it's not beneficial to you to just try and start an argument just starting an argument. People say stuff about you. It is what it is. Sometimes you just got to walk away from it. Don't start anything that you don't want coming back and hitting you in the face. And unfortunately, A.J. Brown continues to find this and do it. So my best advice for him, just pick and choose your battles. That's all you can do. Pick and choose your battles. I'm not going to tell him that he shouldn't be on there. I'm not going to tell him he should. Along the lines, he's going to do what he wants to do. A.J. Brown is an adult. But my best advice I can give anybody, sometimes just walk away from the situation. That doesn't mean anything but except you just stepping away from something that doesn't put you in the spotlight. And as an athlete, you're consistently in the spotlight. A.J. Brown, unfortunately, with this situation, will continue to be in the spotlight. And if he says anything in that aspect, it's only going to come back and bite him in the tail.
A.J. Brown was trying to defend himself. He liked social media, but I've seen where he deleted a lot of tweets on his Twitter.
And that's the problem, Bryce. I mean, a lot of people, they've got fast fingers. They type before they really think about what they've said, and then they have to go back and retract it. And the best kind of solution for that, and I'm not telling the man what to do, but if I had to give any advice to anybody, just walk away from the situation. Because if you say something now, you might end up regretting it later, especially with the situation that you're in and everything else that goes along with it. AJ Brown is under the limelight, and he's going to continue to be under the limelight, especially if he says statements where the media can take it and use it to their beneficiaries.
I'm not going to. I'm not going to say anything about AJ Brown. He he deserves. I mean, he likes his social media, but he's not on it every single day.
And P Shark brings up a great point. It was pointless all around. Both sides just need to move on. And Shark, I agree with you, man. I mean, like I said, I didn't want to do this piece. To me, it was just something that was going to be a puff piece anyway. I just wanted to get a point across and make sure we all have our say in the thing. And along the lines, he's always going to be under the microscope now, and it's just going to be one of these things that they're going to have to deal with going forward. So, like it or not, AJ Brown said it. It's out there. All he can do is just take it for what it is.
AJ Brown is just AJ Brown, but he kind of reminds me of where he made some unbelievable catches like Devontae Adams.
And P. Shaw brings up another good point. Seems like all receivers that were traded are still talking about their former teams in some fashion. And yeah, Shark, I'll agree with you on that. I mean, I guess that's just moving the needle, especially in the slow off season. So that's all you can do just to save time. And Bryce brings up a great point there. I mean, it's not that anybody should be unappreciative of what AJ Brown's done. It's just along the lines, there's going to be some people with sore feelings, and it is what it is.
And the fact that AJ Brown is just a wide receiver, but what is your take on AJ Brown being with the Eagles this year?
I mean, really, Bryce, it's just a simple take. He's a Philadelphia Eagle. I mean, I wish him luck. I hope he stays healthy. I hope the fans treat him well. It is what it is.
Do you think? Hold on, I have another question for you. Do you think Fulton County Jail could shut down AJ Brown?
Well, I'll go ahead and get this one, Bryce, and then we'll take our break. But Fulton practiced against him, so I don't have any questionable doubt that he could. It's going to be an interesting matchup when we get to December. It's definitely going to get hyped up, and if the Titans and the Eagles are in playoff contention, I could potentially see this game being flexed to potentially a Sunday night game. So,
yeah,
we'll see as it goes. But Bryce, we're going to go ahead and take a quick 30-second break, and when we come back, we've got a Q&A session. So, I know some people got some questions. I know you got some questions. I'm here to take questions and give answers. So I'm Michael Bishop with the Power, and we'll be back in 30 seconds. Power Hour's on the air, live streaming you on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, and Twitch. I'm your host, Michael Bishop, and thank you for joining me on this Monday evening. Joining us tonight is our good friend from the Bryce Pratt and the Heck Up show, Pratt. Definitely glad to have him in on a show. Bryce, we were having a great time having you in. It's awesome that we were able to get you in. I know we've been trying to get you in. It's always hard when the schedule gets full. We try and get everybody in, especially as we can. So, very happy to have you in tonight.
Hey, buddy, I'll definitely get you on my show as the season goes on. But would you like to break down one of the games with me and things like that?
Well, we get closer to the season, I will, buddy. Just definitely give me a hit, and we'll see what we can work out when we got time. So, definitely interested in getting on your show. Definitely talk football with you. So
Hey, I did find a Denver Broncos fan to break down the Denver Broncos game with, and I am going to really shock him.
I have no doubt, buddy. You're definitely gonna put the hammer down when it comes to getting the info out. So I'm very much looking forward to that analysis. All right, everybody. Like I promised today, it is our first inaugural Q&A day, and I wanted to do this for a little while. I just didn't know when to get it in, so I figure now with everything being slow, everybody's got questions. Everybody wants answers, so here I am. Bryce, I know you've definitely got some questions, so I'll let you start. Whatever you want to ask, go ahead.
Um, Hello, I want to ask you some questions and guest in the chat. Um,
Go ahead, buddy.
what is your take on the Titans this year with the King?
My entire take on the team, or just for like training camp?
What is your take on the King?
The king. Who's the king?
Derrick Henry.
Oh, the king, man.
All right. Okay. Right now, I think we're just going to wait and see when Derrick Henry gets in. I think along the lines
Oh,
as a veteran player, he's not going to go to these smaller camps. I think he'll be in for training camp, but I definitely see a bounce back year for him. I don't expect him to break over 2,000 yards, but on a previous show, I did say that I think 16,000 is not out of the realm of a possibility. But with another running back behind him, I definitely think it's encouraging that they definitely split carries. But I think King Henry will be effective.
um, I seen videos of him running up these hills. It looks like nothing is wrong with the foot. I mean, it looks like nothing is absolutely wrong with the foot. What is your take on that?
Well, at this point, it's just building up endurance and strength. The technique that he's doing right now is basically what a lot of great running backs do. It's basically building endurance, running up the hill. Walter Payton basically was the innovator of that, and it just showed you build a lot of strength in your thighs and in your upper body,
Oh,
and it helps you just work yourself out. Really, it's probably one of the best workouts, especially when you're trying to rebuild endurance or if you're trying to train.
sweetness.
Well, Bryce, I've got a couple questions in the chat, and I definitely want to get to them. Then we'll get
Oh,
back to yours after these next ones. P Shark says, I believe Robert Woods can have a better season than what AJ had last season. Do you agree? And that's a great question, Shark. Really, it depends on if Robert Woods can be effective off the ACL. And it's a tricky injury. I know a lot of guys, they're ginger with it. They want to take their time. But what we've seen with Woods and some of his workouts, especially with the OTAs, I do like what I'm seeing. I think eventually he could be that guy that's going to be their number one receiver while they're trying to get Traylon Burks on board. Uh, if I had to take a guess for what Woods would do this year, I don't think it'll be on the level what AJ did, but he will be effective, and I think he'll definitely be a difference maker. We need veteran wide receiver experience. We need
um,
somebody that's played in big games, and Woods definitely done that. And Lou Man asks his question: Willis is Willis a poker chip for the future? And Lou, I really just feel like along those lines, Willis is going to be a very interesting prospect going forward this season. And I want to see what he's going to do in training camp. I'd like to see how he progresses even in the preseason. I think if I see him in some preseason games, just to see how far along after training camp, to see how he's progressing. That'll give me an idea to maybe better evaluate him. Right now, it's just I need to see if he can work in a huddle. I need to see if he can read the defense. I need to see if he can improve his footwork. It's a slew of things. It's basically along the lines what Pat O'Hara, the quarterback coach, was talking about a week ago. They need to make sure he does the essentials first. If he can do that, then eventually everything else will be easier. And you're definitely welcome for that, man. So, my pleasure.
Hey, hey, Paolo. Um, I definitely got a good question for you. Um, what is
Good.
your take on Bobby Trees helping out Trayvon Burks this year?
One more time, Bryce. Yeah, you're breaking up on me. I'm sorry.
What what is your thoughts on what is your take on
I think we lost Bryce for a minute. Let's see. Try that again.
I'm
Sorry,
back.
Bryce. I lost you. Go ahead. Go ahead with your question, buddy.
What is your take on Bobby Trees being that veteran wide receiver to help out Tra- Trayvon Burks this year?
Well, it's definitely good to have a wide receiver with veteran experience to help a younger guy. Burks, I feel, is going to be a very essential piece moving forward, and he needs to get more comfortable in the offense. He needs to just do the little things right. And, you know, Bobby Trees has been there. He's won a Super Bowl. He's been in big games. He's had big games as a player. So, you know, I think it's beneficiary to him. And I think along the lines, you look at it being beneficiary to the other guys behind him, like a Des Fitzpatrick. We're still trying to see what he could become as a wide receiver. So, along those lines, it's really a line of guys to see if they can evaluate themselves and even elevate themselves to a higher level.
Um, yeah, that's that's a good point right there, man. Does Fitzpatrick, you never know with him. Um, but he did play in a few games, but he missed the routes. He needs to get involved in the offense more.
And I agree with you, Bryce. I think really it's just a situation of we got to see what kind of camp he has. Has he improved over the year? I know there are some of his teammates that are building him up, and that's a good thing. But it's really just a show me kind of situation. I just need to see if he's elevated his game, if he can run the correct routes, and if he's going to compete out there. Like Mike Vrabel says every day, they're going out there to compete, and that's the name of the game. It's to win a job, it's to win a battle of trying to get more catches or more carries. So Des Fitzpatrick is definitely going to be an all eyes on kind of guy, especially as training camp starts kicking off.
Hey, Paolo, I want to get your take on Ryan Tannehill this year.
All right. Just that's your question, or just was there a specific part of it?
I'm gonna ask you a question.
Go ahead.
So, how is he? How is he going to do with the offensive line this year? Um, the fact that last year's offensive line wasn't as good, but I think this year it's gonna improve once the season moves on.
I will just have to see, like you said, as the season progresses, Bryce. Along the lines, I think the offensive line is going to be a big question mark going into the season. I think not a lot of people know if Dylan Radins is going to be the guy that's going to be ready to step up to that tackle position. If Jamario Jones is ready, or if any other player that they need to fill in that guard position, it's going to be there's a lot of questions. And really along the lines, I think we're not going to find out till training camp gets started. I think maybe they go out and sign a veteran offensive lineman. It's not out of the realm of possibility. So it's a wait and see kind of situation would be the best way to put it. But I got another
Okay,
question. I got
here's
another
my
question. Well, I got another question in the chat. I'll get to that real quick. And P Sharp brings up another point. Does what has happened so far with Traylon Burks concern you? It doesn't concern me personally. Shark, I mean, I've never had asthma personally, so I really can't give a lot of information on it, but I have had family members that have had it. It's not a very pleasant experience for them. And even doing the most easiest of things, walking and breathing, is very difficult. So I can only imagine playing it from at a professional athlete standpoint. And, you know, those that really just don't understand what it is to have asthma and just do a basic scenario like moving and breathing, it's not something I think is very easy or would be a situation where I would be concerned over. If there's major concern there, I don't think they would have drafted him or even made the trade, because that's a red flag of high magnitude. But I think it's something that'll get better as it starts getting cooler. I think once we get into the summer days, pollen starts dying down. And I know that doesn't have a lot to do with asthma, more than likely, but I know essentially the drier it is, the easier it is with people with asthma to breathe.
Here's my take right here on Trayvon. But about a couple weeks ago, I seen where my buddy Preston shared that post on Facebook, and people said they were done with him and things like that. You know what I said?
What'd you say?
I said people have to give the guy a chance. I mean, it's not like OTAs is a game or anything like that, but you have to give the guy a chance to see if he can be on the field and step in and fill in AJ Brown's shoes.
And that's a fair assessment. I mean, a lot of these questions are always going to end up with a scenario. We'll just wait and see. That's the best answer most of us can give. I mean, it all depends on just assessment. It depends on training and all that.
I'm just gonna wait and see what he can do, and I want to see him prove those people wrong that are already giving up on him. I mean, I actually said that in a tweet as well. I said it's so boring how many people just give up on a first round pick. I mean, you have to give the guy a chance.
And I agree. It's a situation, let's just see what he does out there. I'm not going to jump on anybody for just a slow start, especially getting started. It's a scenario of they got to get acclimated to the way things are. There's a schedule, and this is a whole different ball game. I mean, going from college to the NFL is night and day. Some teams do it well, but some people are never going to experience it till they realize what it is. An athlete like Jamar Chase saying that the SEC and the NFL are essentially the same thing. Well, I'm sure they were, but then eventually you figured it out. Well, there's very key differences.
Hold on, buddy. I'm sorry. Jamar Chase was pretty much into it as this season progressed. Last year, he had the best rookie. He had the best rookie wivers. He had the best rookie receiving season in NFL history. I mean,
All right, guys. I think that'll go ahead and conclude all of the Q&A today. I want to thank everybody for joining us. Thank you for all the great questions. It's great seeing everybody in on the chat. Very impressed with the questions, very professional, very good questions. I've got a smart audience. What can I say? Definitely want to thank Bryce Pratt, my guest tonight, for joining me. We've had a great time tonight. We've had a lot of fun talking football. It'll get even better once the regular season gets started. Bryce, definitely want to give you a chance to let the audience know where to find you on all your social media platforms.
On YouTube, going to my Twitter and hit the link, and it's there. I got it on my Twitter. All you gotta do is just hit the link, and it's there. And I'm trying to reach 100 subscribers before the season starts.
We definitely are going to do our part to help you get to that number of 100 subscribers. So definitely make sure you check out Bryce's channel on YouTube and Facebook, and check out his Twitter page, Titan Pratt Up. He is definitely one of the most underrated super fans out there. Love having him on the show. Love his takes. A lot of shout outs to you, Bryce, especially from Mom. So you definitely get the awards. You get the award comment right here. So great having you on. Love having your takes, and we're going to have a good time, especially once the season gets started. And of course, I want to thank my audience tonight for joining us again. Make sure that you like, subscribe, and ring the bell for notifications on the way out, since you're watching on YouTube, or if you're watching on YouTube. And don't forget, follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, and TikTok at the Power Hour 615. Go ahead, Bryce. Last word.
Will you say something to the audience about my YouTube channel and things like that?
Well, they already got your info, buddy. They got to follow and subscribe to you.
I want you to say some kind words about it.
Well, Bryce is wanting all the praise tonight. Definitely check out Bryce's channel. He is definitely one of the underrated YouTubers out there. He's committed to what he does. Check his show out. It is great. And don't forget, on your way out of the show, make sure that you like, subscribe on the way out. Thank you for watching the Power Hour tonight. I'm very appreciative of all you in here tonight. So make sure you do what you do. We appreciate you for everything. I'm Michael Bishop with the Power Hour. Take care. And
thank you for everything. Thank you for that.
Take care, buddy.